Basically, Monday, the third Monday of the year, 15th. Currently a bank holiday in the US, so there's low volume in the US markets for that reason. But we're gonna go over kind of what I'm thinking. I'm not really thinking much about. Now, actually, I want to start with SPX, right? So, where we left off with the last video with SPX buys, obviously I spoke about how I took profit up here. Massive major rejection on the 1 hour and the 4 hour. So I'm not as confident as I was here with buys on SPX, because after this major rejection to the upside and a failure to break these highs and make a new high, it doesn't look like it's going to continue the bullish momentum. Like, this is a harsh confirmation that bulls tried to push up, but sellers were able to push them right back down, and they closed all the way down here. So like, this is a major wick. Price is going to have some momentum to push above there, and I don't believe on a bank holiday it's going to have the amount of momentum that it needs to push beyond here. Momentum slash volume. But yeah, price has been ranging since Friday. We already got our target hit pretty much. It only like skimmed the highs by like 2 points or something, or 2 pips. I took profit at, it was around 4804 or something like that, like around that area, just before like the 4806 highs. It didn't break, unfortunately. Now there is a chance that these can break in the future still. We haven't broke any major lows. If we remain above 4760, it makes sense for price to continue bullish as long as it remains above there. But if it does break below here, then bullish bias is no longer valid. Yeah, I'm out of this trade. I don't want to hold that trash price action, especially when we skimmed the targets by 2 pips. So I was happy taking profits up here. I'm glad I did. And yeah, because I've happened, like as I mentioned before, this has happened quite a few times now, so I'll learn from this mistake and put my targets just a little bit, like just where, like, I would say the candle closures are, rather than like above the wicks or like above the highs or above the lows, you know, because yeah, MT4 needs to like, or MT5 needs to like push beyond the actual price to actually trigger the TP. So it's best to be safe, especially when shit like this happens. So yeah, that's SPX what I'm thinking. I'm currently not thinking of any ideas with SPX. I'm happy with the profits that I got from this position. I've journaled the trade, and we move on to the next. Now, there is something interesting I did see happen with gold on Friday. I wasn't looking at gold on Friday, but price made an indication above the 245 level. Then price corrected back below that level after making a high at 26.62, and then price reversed after tapping into this hourly fair value gap that it created before it broke the highs. Just happened to all happen in London session. I mean, not London session, New York session. After London session pushed up, New York corrected, and after the correction was done, price rebounded in Asian session. Pretty much, isn't that? Yeah, well, yeah, this pretty much is Asian session today. We're currently in London session right now, approaching New York session, but New York session obviously won't have volume as we spoke about before. Well, it shouldn't have the volume, but it might, who knows. Price is looking extremely bullish on the lower time frames with gold, so the buys do make sense. Just unfortunately, I wouldn't consider this a higher time frame setup, so it's a lower probability setup, because you can only really see the setup happening, and it's only really clear with the confirmations on like the 15 minute, the 30 minute, because you have a nice clean indication, the correction, the continuation. But the thing is, what I don't like about these trades, because this all happened in one day basically. We had indication in London, New York session correction, and then like the tail end of New York session going into Asian session, we we had a continuation back above the level. So this has all happened in one day. So like this immediately tells me that this is a lower time frame trade, because on the hourly, the 4 hour, on the hourly, the 4 hour, it's impossible for this type of trade to print. Well, not impossible, but it's unlikely that this type of trade will print in one day. It'll take a few days to form, you know what I mean? And that's what, like what we just broke down on SPX. Like the indication took 1 day, correction took another day, and then the continuation took place on the next day. So it was 3 parts on like each phase of the setup. So that's a high indication that this is a lower probability setup, because you can only really see this on the lower time frames, and as you've seen on the 4 hour, it's just a bunch of candles printing sideways. And you can see it slightly on the 1 hour, but not too much. So it is a lower time frame trade, but it currently worked out very, very well, and prices already pushed 130, 140 pips. And you only had to risk like 50 pips, 40 pips realistically. So yeah, it's a very good setup, and it looks very good. There's no conflicting things. I believe price will probably have volume enough to push the rest of the way, but I don't know if it will, because it's a bank holiday, and I didn't feel comfortable trading a bank holiday, so that's the main reason why I didn't choose to get in at like the Asian session, like when I still had a chance to get in. Like I said, I wasn't looking on this on Friday, so I didn't even think about taking this setup on Friday, but I did look at it in hindsight, and I was like, that's a good lower time frame setup, but not really the highest probability, because technically we're still in like a range on we're breaking out, or we could be breaking out, but until we like break above this high, I would say we're not like fully out of like downtrend / range, you know what I mean, on gold. So yeah, I'm waiting for some proper moves happen on the higher time frames with gold. But that was a very nice setup, and it did make sense. I don't know if any of you took it, but I personally didn't, because I didn't want to trade on a bank holiday, and I knew it was a bank holiday last week, so I was preparing for like today to be a very slow day and not trade today basically. But honestly, both charts are looking very well. Like SPX could take off today, gold could take off today. It's looking very promising, honestly, even though I did not trade. I haven't traded yet, but I don't want to, because I don't really particularly like entering in on a trade twice, especially when it came that close to TP. It's basically hit TP in my head, and if this had broke the lows, this trade would be completely invalid now. Like, I mean, if this had broke the highs, sorry, this trade would be completely invalid now, even if it was down here again. You know, I would absolutely not be thinking about buying, but it does make a consideration in my head, the fact that it didn't break the highs, that it could possibly break the highs in the future. Just because it didn't on this current day, it still remained bullish. Like, even though this is horrible price action and it ranged mostly in New York session, we are still bullish. We were still bullish overall for the day, because we pushed up, broke these highs clearly, and did not break these lows here. We remained bullish overall, even if we didn't move too much, other than at the initial open. But yeah, there is a good chance the price could push back all the way up here and actually make a clean break out of this range. Could happen today, could happen tomorrow with actual volume. Who the fuck knows? Personally, I just want price to move away from where it is originally now, so we can get like a new clean valid setup rather than an old setup, because I consider this like an old setup. And the same with gold. If gold was going to push down here, I don't know how I would feel about him. Yeah, maybe gold is like the better setup, because it actually like is valid. It hasn't like even attempted to break the highs up here yet, and it possibly very well could. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna talk with you guys just a little bit later in the day and give you an update on what I'm thinking. I'll catch you guys in a bit. What's good, guys? And I'm back. It is the next day, MLK Day, bank holiday. Well, USD bank holiday. Oh, sorry, USD bank holiday is over now. We're now on to the first proper trading day, you could say, of the week, Tuesday, the 16th of January. We've got our first lot of news this week today. I believe we got Empire State Manufacturing Index for USD today. We did have some pound news at 7 a.m. London Open. We'll go through that because that did affect GU, and GU is now looking more like it's more in a tradable position, or moving into a tradable position now, because it completely was chalked, you could say. On Monday, a lot of things were chalked on Monday, so we were just waiting for this Monday to get out the way, because we knew it was going to be low volume, no news, and this is where the volume's going to start to pick up during the week as we progress onto like Wednesday, Thursday, and volume's just going to get bigger and bigger, and then slowly taper off on Friday. So we've got CPI on Wednesday as well. Well, actually, that's pound CPI, sorry, because we've already had USD CPI. So we have retail sales for USD to basically NY Open again, like we have news NY Open today, and then on Thursday unemployment claims, which we always have, and more consumer sentiment on Friday at 3 p.m. So yeah, plenty of news, plenty of volume to bring. We're obviously only going to be focusing on this for now, since it's today. The last time we had this was the 15th of December, and it was a lot lower than the forecast, and also it was below 0.00, which means that it's worsening conditions. If we continue to be like negative, basically, that means worsening conditions. But if we get higher than the forecast, so the forecast is minus 4.9, if we get higher than minus 4.9, like anything over 4.8 or whatever, like 4.8 and above, then that's going to be positive for the currency, even though the conditions are worsening still, because it's obviously less than zero. So yeah, that's what I'm expecting a number less than zero, I'm not gonna lie, because we were so, like, it was so low, the number was so low on last month, and it's only been like 30 days since then, so I can't imagine it's going to completely topple back into the positive. But let's see, because as you can see here, like, this is a minus, but this is green because this was actually, well, yeah, it was better than the forecast. So yeah, that's why that is technically good news for the USD, even though the conditions, and it still highlights the fact that the conditions are worsening, especially when they went from basically 1.9 to down to 4.6 in a month. Yeah, we're going to be waiting for this news to come out and see what sort of reaction it has across the USD pairs and stuff like that, but we'll forget about that for a minute, and we'll go on to SPX chart, the 1 hour, right? So the start of the week we were looking at this, and price was obviously ranging since Friday, and we weren't going to have a ton of volume on Monday, so we weren't expecting anything crazy, as also we closed early on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern basically, and then opened back up at 6 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, we all know why price is ranging here. It's just low volume. It was continuing the range that we had from Friday. Even though we did have volume on Friday, we did just basically range. So after assessing this price action on Monday, I did not want to trade this. This is not tradable price action in my opinion. So I was waiting for something like this to happen, a low to be broken. This isn't really major, but it is a significant low, because it is the low that was created on Friday before price broke the highs. So this is a significant low, because after we broke the highs, we have now broke a low, indicating that we are shifting structure to the downside now, at least on the lower time frames. We are still above 4741. Yeah, so we made a new low at 4754, below this 4760 mark, making a new low here. Now, this is not anything I'm looking to trade because it's just really it's just really high time frame price. I mean, it's lower time frame price action. If you look at the hourly, 4 hour, there's not really much going on still. Price is technically still ranging on the 4 hour, so it hasn't fully broken out yet, even though we have broken the low. This is a good sign for us to continue down, if we're going to, or maybe it's just a liquidity grab and we go up and test the highs, who knows. But this is not anything I'm looking to trade. It's just now I can see a potential path towards a setup, because we've broken some lows, at least significant lows, but not really major lows, because they're not really high time frame lows. But it's like the lower time frames are shifting, like the 30-minute and the hourly is technically shifting downwards now. So we're going to see how that plays out. I personally want to see price break this low before I consider any sell positions. I am technically still bullish overall because we haven't broke any major lows as of right now. But there is opportunity because we did not break above this high up here. Oh no, we did slightly. Slightly, sorry, but here we failed to break highs above here. So like we had this major rejection. Price rejected multiple times in this area. So at the moment, it doesn't look like bulls are being very favored as of right now, which is, it makes sense because with all this bullish price action, we need some sort of correction to balance out the market. Yeah, it's still just a waiting game with SPX, but it's moving in the right direction that we want to get a potential position. Yeah, I won't be thinking about any buys now, and the buys that I took here and I was thinking about taking here already played out in my opinion, so that's over with. And now this low is broken, it's no longer valid anyway, so buys are not valid for me. But because we've broken the low, I am looking for sells, short-term sells in the future, just to kind of correct the bullish price action we have. Or I mean, if we break below this low here and we start closing below here, there's a very good chance we could come down and target these lows and potentially make a new low below these lows, and well, a new monthly low. So that's just what I'm thinking with SPX. Generally just waiting for news to take its toll on SPX and actually give us a clean position. But yeah, just a little update from yesterday. Gold, same sort of thing is happening on gold. Price just lost momentum as it tried to push above, didn't break the highs like SPX, came down and broke this significant low that it made on Friday. So now technically this is a new low in the markets for the week, and these are weekly highs. We actually did have a little bit of volume on gold for the bank holiday. See, sometimes this can happen, and I feel like this is because this is very heavily traded, even though like it's gold USD and obviously it's expected the most by USD. I still think there's a lot of people from other countries. Well, this is a thing with, I mean, every instrument, because everyone has access to these sort of instruments to trade whenever they can. So, and you could technically still traded yesterday, even though US markets technically weren't open. So that's what I kind of think, or it's just political, like, because gold is heavily influenced by like political tension and stuff like that is going on with like the war and stuff. So it might be influenced by that, but gold tends to do this quite often, is move out of session. Like gold USD tends to move a lot out of session, so I'm not surprised that it's done this. It's just, and it's just typical. It does it on a bank holiday when you think that it's going to be no volume, and then look at this, market open, it's gone. It's like fuck. But kind of like where market closed last week, we went through that earlier in the week. Market closed in quite a significant place, and it kind of insinuated the price would continue pushing up, because they didn't really have its chance to like complete the move until market open. You know what I mean? Like, because this was happening very close to market close. Sorry, this was happening very close to market close, so it didn't even give it enough room to actually like complete a full move. Do you know what I mean? Because like we're coming to the end, so I think this was just like an aftermath of like all that built up volume from Friday market close, and then because momentum very quickly kicked in and price began to push down as we were going into New York session, and now price is massively pushed down out of session again. Yeah, gold moves a lot out of session. I've known, like, gold moves a lot in Asian session. Even look here, Asian session into London session, massive. So that's gold. When it comes to gold, I'm a little bit more flexible when it comes to the sessions. I won't trade SPX out of session because it's really pointless. Like, there's so many times where I have decided to do that and you're just waiting for the move to happen in New York session anyway, so it's like, it's fucking pointless. You might as well just trade New York session. You might as well just analyze leading up to New York session and then take your potential session. And there's a lot, it helps you weed out a lot of bullshit positions, because you'll see like a potential position forming, right? But it's like giving you the entry, quote unquote, in Asian session. Like, that doesn't make sense on SPX, and that'll be a lot of the times it'd be best to just avoid that, because you're just going to be trapped in like a void of low volume until like you're going to be waiting until the morning for any sort of movement. Anyway, there are going to be times where price has just got crazy volume in the Asian session for whatever reason. It might be the aftermath of FOMC or whatever. It might happen, but majority of the time it's best to just keep yourself just keep in the session that makes sense, like the session that works for you. But yeah, I know there's people out there that trade every fucking session that they want, and that's up to them. But for me, I have certain sessions for certain pairs. So with GU, I'm a little bit more flexible, and I will trade London session if it makes sense in the moment. But I do particularly like to trade New York session with GU. SPX, you know, I only trade it New York. And with gold, it's kinda, I'm not so constrained to sessions with gold, because as you can see, volume is just all over the place. Like, you've got a mad amounts of volume in London, and then you've got mad amounts of volume in New York. So mad amounts of volume in Asian, volume in London, volume in New York, like all in one day. Like, and the same here. Like, even had volume in New York session as well. After pushing up for all the way from up here, still had volume in New York session. So gold is crazy. Gold is crazier than indices, in my opinion. Very, very volatile. So you've got to be a little bit more careful, and that's why I really only trade gold maybe 3 to 5 times a month. I like to honestly trade gold like once or twice a month. You come in, take those good setups once or twice a month, and it's done. I wouldn't like to just trade gold. I know there's probably motherfuckers out there that just trade gold. Nah, I couldn't do it, bro, because it's very misleading sometimes. So yeah, I like to just switch it out with gold. You know, my main pair is SPX, so I'm gonna be predominantly covering SPX every single day. Whereas you might not get like an update from me with gold every single day, because I'll look at it one day, and if it's complete trash and I don't see anything that is actually appealing to me, I'll just fucking leave it for a couple of days and then come back and assess it again and see if it's changed. Kind of the same with GU as well, unless I get like consistent with GU, I might trade it a lot more. And like if SPX is being really slow for whatever reason, which is unusual, but yeah. But like I said, SPX is my main. I could not trade GU and gold if I wanted to, but it's just nice to have the good pairs to trade when SPX is not giving me the setups that I want. Yeah, with gold I'm very, very careful with though. GU I'm a little bit more tame, because I understand it's a lot slower compared to gold. A lot slower. And obviously like the risk is a lot less. Like, you risk 50 pips on gold, it's like really nothing. Whereas 50 pips on GU it's a decent amount. It's not a ton, but it's a decent amount. Anyway, let's go on to GU now, because we have now broke out this range that we were talking about on Monday. Price was all the way up here, ranging horribly since all the way since last week, Monday last week really, so it's been ranging for a week. And we had volume straight off the bat as soon as we reopened. After the bank holiday early close, we reopened at 6 p.m. Eastern. We pushed down and broke this major low here that we made on Thursday at 0.2690, and made a massive extension down. So we've clearly shifted down beyond these lows here on the higher time frames. This is a clear shift on all time frames, pretty much. All time frames below the 4 hour, it's been a major shift. So this is a very key structural shift. Obviously now we've had this huge bearish indication. We want a correction to this move because it's a massive 100 pip move. Like, if a currency moves 100 pips one way, you better know it's going to correct some of that move. So I want to expect, I want price. I know price might not reach all the way up here, but I want price to be back above 2690 at least again, and then show signs of the bullish pressure that was needed to push back above here. Slows down, momentum kicks in, remains below these highs made on Monday, the weekly highs. I've got to change that because that's basically what, are they the yearly highs? No. Yeah, they are. These are the yearly highs. Change those. So yeah, I want price to correct back above 0.2690. Show signs that price is slowing down with the bullish pressure on the lower time frames and switching back towards that bearish bias that we have on the high-ish time frames, and obviously remaining below 27.2738 39, like below that level. As long as it remains below these weekly highs and there is no new weekly high made. I mean, technically these are weekly highs, but I'm focusing on like New York session. We'll say NY weekly highs, because they're not technically the whole weekly highs, but yeah, this is a significant major swing high that was made before the new swing low was made. So it's key that it has to remain below this high for sells to be valid still. Now, I'm not saying the price is going to immediately reverse from where it is right now. It might push down even further and extend the move even more. New York session, we've got volume obviously coming into New York session for USD, so it's going to have an effect on this, especially with that news dropping. So I expect that this move is not over at all, but I am looking for later in the week to see if price can correct this move and end up back into a potential selling area. Yeah, that's why I'm looking at GU right now. It's probably the only, even though it's like not really clean on the high, like on the 4 hour, it's technically still ranging between these highs on the 4 hour, lows on the 4 hour. So it's not such a clear setup on the higher time frames perspective, but it's very clean on like 1 hour, 30, 15, 5, you know. So I am still open to this potential setup. You can still see it clearly on the 4 hour. You can see that this low has been violated, so this doesn't go unnoticed. It's just overall on the 4 hour still ranging, overall on the daily still ranging. So for us to break out of the overall range that we've been in since 14th of December basically, or the 15th of December, we have to break below these lows that are basically yearly lows, make new yearly lows, which will shift the overall bias if we break these lows on the high time frame. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for on GU. Basically just sitting on my hands across the board. I haven't got any potential setups. I'm thinking about taking this New York session or even the next New York session. So you won't see much from me for the rest of the day. I probably will do an update on how these pairs moved after New York session today. I haven't took a single setup yet this week, and this is the second day of the week. Like I said, I'm not going to be trading today, so it's basically just Wednesday and Thursday, Friday for me. See what those days have got to offer. Probably by the end of the night, I will know whether I'm going to be taking a certain setup in Wednesday New York session. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna go now. Get on with the rest of my day. It's 12 o'clock. Morning is over. Yeah, man. I'll catch you guys in a bit. Yo, guys, I'm back for a quick update. The end of Tuesday now, pretty much. We're an hour away from daily close, and I wanted to recap basically what happened after news dropped, what sort of results we got when they actually dropped. So let's go into first lot of pound news. This happened early this morning, so this already happened by the time I made the previous clip, but we'll go over it real quick. So we had, that's good news for pound. Actually put pound strength, but as we're going to go into, and we covered before, GU's already dropped, so that was early this morning. Now the real news, what we were waiting for before, obviously being a negative number still, and I was right. It's actually far more negative than I expected. Minus 43.7, which is clearly below the forecast. And it obviously is below zero, so it's worsening conditions. So overall, that is bad news for the USD based on the data. We'll go into how it was actually received on the charts. And then we had the Bank of England governor speak to further affect pound. Now, I was keeping a close eye on GU around like 3 or 4 p.m. and it wasn't really doing too much with that. So yeah, it was mainly, there was volume from this. But yeah, I think volume pretty much died down pretty fast today. So by 6 p.m. it wasn't really doing anything. But here we are. So we've had the indication on GU now. We ranged today. We didn't push down any further when we came into New York session, because we had already pushed down all of this during the Asian session and London session. So by the time we came out to New York session, we had already dropped 100 pips plus. Price just ranged. Now I expect price to correct back. Well, I want it to correct back above the 0.2690 level. Break these minor highs. These get broken, it isn't really that big of a deal. It's still bearish in my opinion. They're just session highs really. It's just not really that important. I'm still waiting for potential positions to form on GU. Gold has now pushed down even more amid the indication even bigger now, so that'll be setting up for a move probably later in the week. Extremely bearish today. But yeah, just further extended that move because it only just broke the lows when we were going into New York session. And then the aftermath of New York session, it pushed down a little bit further, which is exactly what we want. I wasn't looking to take a trade anywhere in this area because, yeah, it's just horrible. Anyway, so that's gold GU and SPX now. SPX is literally not done much at all. Obviously, we covered that price took the lows early today, but after that, price just ranged, did nothing realistically, and still chalked overall because prices ranging to extreme levels now. This is horrible price action on the higher time frames. So I'm waiting for a breakout on indices right now to look to trade these. So these are off the table for the time being. SPX is off the table. I will be focusing on GU for the rest of the week, seeing if that can give us a potential good short position. And the same with gold, but I honestly I'm not particularly fond of gold right now. But we'll see how it looks later in the week. Obviously, there is no trade just yet. We were just still waiting. I'll tap back in probably tomorrow, where we have. Let's go back on. Yeah. tap back in tomorrow where we have CPI for pound, early new London session open. So that will mean that volume will be pretty high for London session, and GU will be affected by that. And then by the time New York session rolls around, we will have double impact, high impact news, core retail sales month to month, and retail sales month to month. Now let's just do a quick review of this. Start with CPI. Oh, there we go. So the last was less than the forecast. Greater than the forecast is good for the currency, so a high CPI rate reading is positive. We want it higher than 3.8%. It was 3.9%, so they're expecting an increase overall. Well, no, a slight decrease, sorry. They're expecting a slight decrease. So I don't know if that is essentially good for the currency. If we do get a 3.8, it doesn't... I don't know what that actually means for pound, but yeah. The previous was 3.9. I actually think it's going to be less than 3.8, but that's just obviously a total guess from me. Don't really know until it comes out. Going to USD news, 0.2%. The forecast of minus 0.1%. Greater than the forecast is good for the currency, so anything above 0.-%. So even if it's a 0.1, technically it's less than the previous, but it is better than... Oh no, in this case it's actually not better than the forecast, my bad. 0.2 is the forecast, so we're expecting the same rate as we got last month. If we get a 0.3, that is good for the currency. I'm assuming anything less than that is not really good for the currency, so yeah, that's what we're going to be expecting with that. Honestly, I have no idea what the readings are going to be like, but based off old readings, I'm expecting to be a higher reading than 0.2. Yeah. And as for the retail sales month to month, 0.4 forecast, and the actual of the last was a 0.3. So that's expecting a 0.1% increase. So yeah, and as for that, my guess is that it will be a slight increase. I wouldn't be surprised if it is the forecast. That would make sense. Yeah, we'll tap back in tomorrow, early New York, early London session. Yeah, guys, peace. Yo guys, good morning, brand new day, Wednesday now, 9:40 AM GMT currently. 2 seconds, grab this. We have had CPI year to year for pound this morning at 7 AM, just before London Open, dropped better than expected, which is good for the currency. It was an increase since last month as well. Obviously better than the 3.8 forecast we had. Basically, there was volume in London Open because we had CPI data drop, and this data affected GU bullish, as you can see clearly, around 3 AM Eastern. We had major volume just a little bit before, actually. The volume started, but volume really kicked in. And still is kicking in almost 2 hours after. No, almost 3 hours after. I do expect these minor highs to get taken, and obviously to push back above lows that it broke. I do want it to tap into this fair value gap as well to kind of mitigate that, remaining obviously below these lows. But yeah, correction is taking place right now, is exactly what we wanted after this move. Quite done yet, so we're still going to patiently wait. I honestly at the moment do not feel comfortable taking a setup today, so it looks like I won't be trading New York session. I will just be a bystander to see what retail sales does in New York session. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about GU right now. Just a quick update on this Wednesday morning London session. Yeah, we'll tap back in later in the day and hopefully this correction is complete. Yo guys, so I'm gonna tap back in quickly. We're an hour before news dropping, USD news. Still Wednesday, as you can tell right here, 12:30 almost. And as you can see right now, we've completed the correction. We have reached that 0.2690 level that I was talking about earlier in the week. Sorry, had a rejection already, losing momentum on the lower time frames now as we fail to break these highs. But we're looking good so far. I do want to see how news reacts with price and see what price looks like at like 3 p.m. and things like that, and maybe consider a position after that. But yeah, I'm waiting for structure to start shifting bearish overall, like on all time frames now, and then we can consider taking sells with the overall bearish bias we have on the 1 hour. Yeah, the correction's complete. We've had the indication, the correction, documented it all, and now we can actually consider taking short positions back towards the 0.2596 level. But yeah, as of right now, I'm still not taking any trades today. I'll just be closely analysing price throughout New York session. Probably won't do another update until the close, so we can review what happened at the end of the day. Yeah guys, I just wanted to tap in real quick and do that because price had moved a lot since last time we spoke, and yeah, I know I'm not going to be able to do an update when news actually drops because I'm going to be out, but I'll do one at the end of the day and like the aftermath of news and stuff. Yeah guys, catch you guys later, bye. What's goody? It's a new day. We're on to Thursday now. Around 24 hours since I last made a clip, I believe. Last clip I made was just before news dropping yesterday. Yesterday we had core retail sales month to month and normal retail sales month to month. They both came out positive for the USD. Good numbers, both more than the forecast. Yeah, that's good positive for the USD, which can fuel the potential GU bears that we're looking at, the GU sells we're looking at. Let's review what happened in New York session yesterday. So I believe news dropped here. Price had already had volume and it already began to push down leading up to news. By the time news came in, volume pushed and broke this low here, which is essentially a minor low on the lower time frames. So we took these lows here just before news dropped, reversed, went all the way back up and took the highs that we made before session. But that happened in the Asian session. Eventually we went up and took those highs, but it basically just rebounded from those lows towards those highs. Now this is basically fully confirmed that well, not fully confirmed, but kind of confirmed to us that correction is now done. So we had the indication down here that we were talking about at the start of the week. Then the correction took place overnight yesterday, and we recapped that as it was taking place. I believe it was London session yesterday. Made an update clip there when price was just pushing up. Now we know the prices broke a high here, so we have made a new high here above this high. But when we made this new high, price just fell back below immediately, pretty much, because price really does not have no momentum after pushing up all the way from the start of New York session yesterday all the way until basically London Open. Price lost momentum very clearly after the highs, so price doesn't look very bullish now, as you can see, based off the price action that we've had since the daily candle open. Price is just ranging so far today. But if we go on the lower time frames, we can see that we've actually had a little bit of a shift below just recently, as we approach New York Open. So we haven't had any news today at all. You've got unemployment claims at 1:30, and half an hour after New York Open. The previous numbers were less than the forecast, so it's good. So numbers, if we get lower unemployment claims, that's good for the dollar. If we get higher than 206k, then that's bad for the dollar. So based on the last two readings, the last 2 weeks basically, because this happens every single week, we've been having better than forecast, but the number hasn't really changed. So I don't expect a significant change to 202. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it is the forecast or whatever. Well, I kind of do expect, based on the trend, I kind of do expect lower numbers, and I think that's the overall sentiment, that we do expect lower numbers. Well, actually, no, in fact, it's expecting higher numbers. What am I talking about? Because we were 202k last week, and we're forecasting 206k, so we are expecting an increase, a slight increase. But if we hit the forecast, or we are below the forecast, then that's a good thing. Basically going to wait on that for most of the volume to come into the markets today. That's going to be the main driving factor for the New York session, I believe. But as we were just about to talk about here, we've made a new low on the lower time frames here, shifted below this low that we created earlier in the day. After we made a high here, we broke the highs, and then we broke the lows. So now we've made a new low on the lower time frames. Price continues down and continues this bearish narrative. Time frame will shift, and will shift with the overall hourly bias. But yeah, as you can see, price is very rangy now, moving sideways. So you can see momentum slowing down. We're just kind of waiting for time frames to all switch in correlation with each other. And yeah, we'll think about taking potential sells in New York session today. Price is in the perfect place that I want to sell. What I talked about at the start of the week. Basically just broke this trade down as it's been formulating itself, as it's been progressing. So yeah, I probably won't record New York session today, because I'm going to be busy a lot today. So probably won't do another update until later in the day. Probably be like a recap of like when the daily candle closes today. Yeah, it looks like we're potentially taking our first trade in New York session today. So guys out, sell positions. Yeah, we've been waiting all week for this to happen. Check gold. Oh, gold is moving into a very good position as well to sell coming into New York session. But I'm not going to focus on gold, because honestly, the GU setup that I've been eyeing up for the last few days is a lot better of a setup, a lot cleaner of a setup. Even though I do prefer gold as a thing to trade, it's like I just think it's better. Better thing to trade, obviously more rewards, you know, better runners, stuff like that. But yeah, just gonna focus on GU for now. SPX is I guess SPX is corrected as well, but I'm not really fond of SPX's price action overall right now, so I'm gonna basically leave those two. Yeah, I'm just gonna focus on GU for now. So yeah, this is what we're focusing on, guys. New York session, potential short positions. Everything's looking good so far. Like, look at the 30-minute price just tried to push up again to break these highs, failed perfectly. Price can just continue breaking lows and failing to break highs. Be perfect, and I think it should. Yeah, guys, I'll tap back in with you guys later and continue this video. These guys. I don't know if you guys could hear me for any of that. That is so fucking annoying. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna quickly just say what the fuck I was gonna say anyway. So price did break these quite well. You could say the minor highs. They are some significant highs at least. So this is what recently happened on Thursday. We failed to break the lows once again. Failed to break the lows here. At the moment, price did break this high. Now I'm waiting for price to remain below here and break this low, hopefully, so we can switch the overall trend and realize that this is just a fake out, because price is clearly moving momentum, as you can see the way price is moving. Very close, small candles together, very rangy, wicky, horrible price action. It's just like when price hits a high, it quickly loses momentum. This is showing the signs that price is shifting slowly on all time frames. It sometimes takes a few days. So even though, like, technically the correction was complete on Wednesday, price ranged for some days, continued to break highs, so it was continuing that overall bullish narrative that it shifted here on the lower time frames. So it's got to continue with that for some time, and then when you start to see it shift and go in confluence with all the other time frames, like the higher time frame narrative. So now we're just waiting for the lower time frames. Like this, well, I said this in the last clip, but it's basically just the same thing. It's just we've just had another repeat. Basically the exact same thing happened on Wednesday and Thursday this week on GU. Literally session by session happened the same way. So we're literally waiting for the same thing. Is that what I was waiting for yesterday? Just waiting for all the time frames to push in confluence, and we are waiting for the last bit of news to drop this week, which is the prelims UOM consumer sentiment. It's greater than 69.8. It's going to be positive for USD, which will further the GU narrative, because if the dollar gets stronger, and we've had weak pound news here, so this puts weakness in the pound. So weakness in the pound, if we get good dollar news going into the USD, then that's just going to further this bullish narrative that we have at this current moment. I am aware that it could be another day like Wednesday and Thursday that it's just chalked and it's just moving sideways and it's not really doing anything, because although we did break highs both days, we didn't really do anything. In the grand scheme of things, you look on a high time frames, we did nothing. So, and we're in generally the same place as we were when we were on I believe in Wednesday New York session. We're generally in the same place that we were on Wednesday at the end of the week. So I think this is going to be the decider of which direction it's going to move for the rest of the month. I'm going to tap back in later in the day to do a recap of the week and hopefully of what the fuck happens here. This is literally the only trade I've looked at and considered taking this whole week. I have been looking at gold closely, SPX closely. They haven't given me any potential setups that are actually valid for my opinion, or in my opinion. Now gold's broke highs, SPX is clearly broke highs, so now I'm both bullish on those pairs anyway. I'll be waiting patiently for a setup on there. And to be honest, GU still has the ability to be bullish still. I just don't believe the momentum's going to have enough to carry it. Even when volume kicks in later in the day, it's probably going to have enough volume to push above these highs, but is it going to have enough volume to continue and actually shift above here and make a clean move out of this range? Probably not. Even though this is a good sign for price to reverse, like price is rejecting, can't close below here. It makes sense for price to continue back up towards these highs. Even if it doesn't break them, it makes sense. Even if these highs get continued broken, I just fully believe that price is going to eventually break a low, because the momentum's just not there. I feel like it's eventually just going to shift. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Yo guys, I'm back with a brand new, well, it's not brand new, but it's the end of this video. I wanted to recap and end that video off. We're a little bit late with that though. It's the 24th of January. Last clip I believe was on the 19th of January. So it's been about 4 days since then, 5 days since then. We are going to review Friday on GU, so because that was the only slash setup we were looking at last week, because the rest of the pairs were not valid. Let's just go full screen. So price was in a very good place coming into New York session. We had news at 3 p.m. I believe the last time I tapped in, we was looking at this and we were waiting just for this. We already had pound news drop. That was at London Open, and the last clip I was looking at, it was around 12 p.m. So it was around 3 hours, 2-3 hours before that news dropped. So when that news dropped, we had volume, price was ranging, and then after the news got absorbed, price began pushing up. I did take sells around this area here when we had that news drop, when we had that pound news drop, sorry. Oh no, I didn't take it. I took it at New York Open, but it was I was using that pound news as extra confirmation, basically, to fuel the, I believe it was pound strength. So I was kind of, well, we had that news that did drop. It was bad pound news and strong USD news. Sorry, I have to cast my mind back to this. I wish I just did this at the end of the week, but I got caught up with a bunch of shit. I got an email on Friday from a certain prop firm that everyone knows. It's a very big one, and it was a very shocking email, and that kind of threw me off. So I've been trying to sort all that shit out, which I am gonna go into more detail of that situation, because it really isn't right, but I'm not going to speak about that right now. That's just the reason why I haven't ended the video yet. So yeah, we're going to close this as recap to last week, the week commencing the 15th of January. So this was Friday, the last day of last week. We took sells below here during New York session, below 0.2685, targeting the 2596 area. So I was banking on the volume coming in from 3 o'clock, that consumer sentiment. I was hoping for that volume, for that news to come in and bring a lot of volume to be able to push price down. But unfortunately, price just rejected and pushed back up. And by the end of the session, it wasn't really doing too much. So price closed then. And then when it reopened, price pushed up and broke the highs up here, so stopped us out. So that was a loss. So one trade last week, one loss on GU sells. I took it on Friday, the 5th, not the 15th. It was Friday the 19th, wasn't it? On week commencing the 15th. So that was the third week of January concluded. I just wanted to quickly top off the week and quickly break down this trade. But you understand the basis of the trade because we broke it down all throughout the week, this whole move on GU. Now I'm going to go on to start recording the recap for this week. We're already on Wednesday. I haven't actually took a trade yet, but we are going to shape up. Oh wait, no, I did take a trade. I took a trade today on gold, and that ended up being a loss. So I've had 2 losses in a row now, one on Friday and one today. But we're going to cover that in another video. We're going to cover that gold trade and the rest of the trades to follow. Price is looking very good and it's shaping up well for the rest of the week. So yeah, but that brings an end to this week, the 3rd week of January. Week commencing the 15th. I've said that a bunch of times now, but I just want to get that point across because I'm doing this at a later date now. But yeah, the next weekly recap should be all on time and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. I just wanted to put an end to this video. Behind the scenes stuff is the reason why it took this long and it hindered the this video. But yeah, man, I'll catch you guys later. Take care. Peace.
A celebration of
So, this shit crazy.
a celebration of existence. celebration of
So, this shit crazy.
a celebration of existence.